it's so amusing to see the waves go crash down on me and drag me into the sea. Why's it so easy to be so indifferent to me when I wear my heart on my sleeve?
Welcome to Skechcraft, the podcast for art, design, and process junkies. I'm Rob Duenas, full-time designer, illustrator, and graphic artist esquire. This is an unedited podcast, which means there will be cursing from time to time, so please be aware. That said, here we go.
Like a willow tree, getting pulled down by gravity. By gravity. By gravity. By gravity.
Okay, hey everybody, Rob Duenas here. This is Skechcraft, the podcast for art, design, and process junkies, says it in the title. So, normally I prepare show notes, I sort of jot stuff down during the week, collate my thoughts, and basically give myself a guideline so I don't really run over time too much or ramble. But this week, a little less organized. So, I want to talk to you all about something that you're definitely not going to find in an art book, because it's really oh man, I want to say Zenish, psychological, whatever. So in 2004, I really sort of set out to start to make a living being creative, being an artist full time. I was working in a copy store, and I was able to. Well, first I started going to conventions. Like I went to a Wizard World in Long Beach because it was super cheap. I went with a buddy. Some friends helped me sort of pack, and I started going to a con. And that was a really, really unique experience. And a year later, I went again. In that time, I was able to, through some networking with some friends, be able to get a job designing t-shirts, even though I had no concept of how to do that. But I got a job doing that. And it was pretty interesting because it was for actual, it was for movies and stuff, like for the Wolverine or X-Men 3 at the time, and we were gearing up for Spider-Man 3. So I was able to sort of start a professional career, at least graphic design-wise, with some art. I was drawing stuff for West Coast Choppers here and there, more like tattoo elements, really. But I kept going to conventions. And the goal for me was to sort of break into comics. I didn't feel... I had already sold an independent comic to Image with a friend of mine. Unfortunately, he was unable to complete the writing aspect of it, and it kind of burned me out a little bit. So I thought, well, I'll start to get in somehow, and I managed to get a break at Ape Entertainment, and started to work on a comic called Monstroids for writer-actor Kevin Grievous. Sort of like a... like a toy action line of action figure kind of like series, kind of like Frankenstein and these monsters got rebuilt, to sort of blow up crime, kind of like RoboCop, and that started, in my opinion, okay, well now I'm drawing a comic. I drew a zero issue. This is by 2007. I drew a zero issue for 2007 Comic-Con, and we went into the full series, and by 2008, the series had dragged on. It took 6 months just to get scripts, and by 2008 I had already switched to 2 different t-shirt jobs. So I'd gone from my first t-shirt job to another one, and when I had just started that t-shirt job in the summer of 2008, so we're jumping ahead a year now, Monstroids issue 1 was still in limbo, and I got picked up or offered a job at Play Magazine, which was a video game magazine at the time. It had been around for 10, 12 years. With Senior Dave Halverson and crew, and to also sort of start up a Dead Junior comic book line that he wanted to do. He wanted to get into fiction writing with video game graphic novels. So I quit my teacher job to go full-time comics, and everything seemed great. They put up a lot of money up front for me to work from home, and I was really really excited. And what something strange sort of occurred. So this was 2008. I started in June. Still didn't have final script for Dead Junior until in August. Still didn't have final script. I threatened to quit and go back to my day job because the money they had given me was running out. I had no script. And Dave started to trickle in words, and they gave me commission work on Play, because it was weird. I really wasn't like technically staff at Play. I was approached to work and be like a staff artist, which merged into Dead Junior, which became no Play, and all Dead Junior, which became no Dead Junior, no money coming in, and I was sitting at home feeling like I got swindled. So by March of 2009, I had went up to Play offices and basically said, look, I'm quitting unless you put me on payroll because I can no longer continue to work like this. And they did. They put me on payroll. Dave was like, whoa, a video game has a staff artist? And they were commissioning and freelancing art between different artists at the time. But I was like, yeah, I'm on payroll. I'll draw all your covers. I'll do whatever interior art you need on top of Dead Junior. So it's a win-win. You know, when I don't have magazine stuff to work on, I'll go work on Dead Junior. So no stress. Which I just figured, you know, he could take his sweet-ass time as far as I'm concerned, as long as I was getting a paycheck. And that worked out fine until September of 2009, when Play belly-upped. They busted overnight. And I didn't really know. You know, I was sort of like delayed a paycheck, and I would get a paycheck here and there. But by October, November that year, it was pretty obvious it was belly-up. And I was ready to just go back to T-shirts. Meanwhile, on the Monster side, no movement. Like I had sat down, did all the lettering, the coloring was getting done, but it took them over a year to finalize the scripts for the first 3 issues. So I didn't have final script for Monster Rights, okay, ready to draw, until August of 2009. That's 2 years. 2 years to get everyone to agree on a script. So what happened is, rather than go back to T-shirts and earn a living like any normal chap would, they've somehow convinced me to relaunch Game Fan magazine with me as the art director, which I was promised like 5 G's a month or something. And I was really naive. I had no idea how magazines made money. I figured he had capital, you know, put together. No capital, no money. Suffice to say, I built Game Fan from the ground up, but I received very little compensation for that. I think in a year I made about $6,000 maybe, being generous. So what happened was during this time I really sort of learned how to I really didn't want to go back to T-shirts, and it wasn't that I was having a problem against it. I just felt like for some reason in my mind I felt like I was going backwards. So while all this was going on, I decided to put myself out there on the internet as much as possible. I mean, I was freelancing a cover here and there for Big Dog Inc. and the random freelance, but you know, it was really dependent on whenever people had freelance available. You know, it always didn't pay as much, and then, you know, they would take, sometimes they could take, I mean, Tom paid on time, perfect, but some people, man, I remember talking like net 90 days, so 3 months to get like $150 is just not worth the effort. So I started to just, it was it November 2010, I just sat down and said, hey, $10 sketches, and just started drawing them, and turned more money in the first month of doing that than I was making Game Fan. So the writing was on the wall with Game Fan. But I decided to stick with it because I was paying my bills as little as I had. And I wanted to get pretty good at making a magazine just because I thought it would be a good skill set to have. So I ran that out as far and as long as I could, which was October of 2011. That was it. That was as far as I could do. They hadn't paid me in 3 months, and the money I was making on commissions just was eking by, and I had enough of it. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to get a job redesigning T-shirts. But what this all means is, so this is almost a year later, right? I've been back doing T-shirts full time since December of 2011. It's now September 2012. It's almost a year. What this means, what I'm trying to get at with all of this, is that I've been chasing deadlines non-stop since 2006. You know, I'll say, if we really want to talk about full-time comic book work, we'll go 2007. So let's say conservatively 2007, but I say 2006. So let's see, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's at least 5 to 6 years, right? That I've been looking over my shoulder every time I turn around. Like if I have 4 hours off in a night to go see a movie, I'm like, man, there's like 3 other things I'm supposed to be doing right now, and it's taking its toll. Let's just say that as of last week, I wasn't just not done with it. It was either something had to change, or I'm done being an artist like forever. Let me explain why. I love to draw and to create, and to be able to earn a living doing it, I consider to be a privilege. Right? It's no hyperbole. It's no bullshit. That I'm not placating the issue or trying to. I think it's I come from a very blue collar background. I've done manual labor. I served in the military all my life. I didn't have a car until I was 19, so I walked everywhere. And in the Army, overseas, I never had a car. I'm just used to doing, manual stuff. I've always kept pretty trim, actually. In the last 6 years, health-wise, weight-wise, not as good as I like. Frankly, right now, I'm not a fat man, but I'm not happy. And my motivation is low. And I'm not getting any younger. So I want to enjoy life again. The world seems to always be going to hell. When I was in the Army, it was always, we're on the brink of war and the Army's falling apart. And, now it's, obviously with everything going on in the world, it hasn't got any better. So I'd at least like to be able to feel like, at the end of the night, that I did something, that I actually accomplished something. And that I had a good time doing it. I don't enjoy chasing deadlines. The strangest thing that sort of broke it all for me was in August. I was able to become ImagineFX Artist of the Month, which I thought would be a great honor. Like, I was like, wow, that's so awesome. I was like, August is gonna be my month to shine, which is strange because usually August is my hell month for some reason. Like my whole life, that's where trouble always occurred. I was like, this is gonna break the cycle, right? and so what happened was that occurred, and I got some, it was really cool. And then their company, their sister magazine, hit me up to do some commission work for Fantasy Effects with tutorials and stuff, which I said, great. I think they gave me like 9 days to do it. And I designed this whole piece and drew it and figured, I'll write it in a day. And the writing took a lot longer than I thought. It was insanely long to do. And they were yelling at me and all this stuff, and I apologized. And, it was terrible. So I got them their stuff. It was about a day late with the writing, but they had the art, they had everything. And I was like, okay, now I'm going to go back now and get this cover done for Tom, my last penny cover. And then they hit me up again and said, hey, would you be willing to do a bigger piece, And it was like a pretty good chunk of money to do it, too. And I said, well, you know what? It'd be nice to make right on this one. And they told me I saw the ship date, and it said September. So I'm like, this is great. It means I can get myself done for the month, and by mid-month I can start work on this piece and have like 2 or 3 weeks to do it, no problem. And God, I read it wrong. So the day I go to actually start it was the day it was due. Not even started. And it just started a series of emails with those guys that, they had every right to be mad about. But I stayed up night after night after night after night, getting 2 hours of sleep after night, and they had very specific things on this thing, like it was right down to the color. This kind of armor, this kind of horse, this kind of color sky, this kind of perspective, and these things in the background, and that the character's going to be really big, and this background's going to be small, but when you actually size it on the page, it turned out to not be the case, like that the character is going to be kind of like not small by virtue of all the crap they had on and this horse and stuff. In the background of being, it was a clusterfuck. It's about the worst thing I've ever done. Matter of fact, I've deleted the work in progress, and I will never show that art ever because I hate it. I hate it, and more to the point, I had a lot of personal stuff going on in my family at the time. So like, I'm dealing with this, and then I took some nights off, and basically. I took a day off work, and that just ignited this shitstorm at work with me taking days off because I had some family issues the month before, and I'm not a guy who takes many days off work. Like, I might miss 2 or 3 days a year, and so I'd already run up 3 days in like 2 months, and my work freaks because fucking I don't know, and So they felt, that I was, because they see me making stuff at night, they're like, oh, you're working for other people when you should be here. And I didn't have the time to get into this shit, and it's just like, so I got it done. And I got Tom his cover. And I thought all was well. And I went to go back to work on stuff. And then Kevin hits me back up to work on Monstroids again. And I said, no, I can't do it, man. I wanted to make this video game magazine. And and for some reason, somehow, Kevin's such a nice guy, man. The guy's so talented, and I think he's making a movie again, and it's like, Rob, not too many opportunities, not too many filmmakers and screenwriters go hitting you up, dude. Maybe you should, capitalize, Might be a good friend to have. So I said, okay, and then I'm trying to make this magazine and get this thing going, and just nothing's working. I go to work, and everything's moving really slow. I have no energy. And suffice to say, deadlines as an artist, they have to be met. And you have, obviously, not everyone can just create their own work or they have a day job. But I got to be honest with you, they can be very, taking on too much work. People go, oh, Rob, you took on too much work. Well, you got to remember, for the last 4 years, I've been scheming 700 different things. Everything has to be in motion because of the way money comes in. And the money's so little, you're doing one thing to sort of get this going and get that going, and then you get these invoices out, and they kind of come in, and then I started the print stuff and the sets, and I go to cons to get some cash there flow, and I hustle my ass off to get that done to cover the rent to come back, and I was just in this mode. And I think, so finally, what happened is I just called it quits last week, and I'm tired of chasing deadlines. Matter of fact, if the t-shirt business folds, I'll just get a job at Starbucks or something and do commissions and make my own stuff forever. I have no desire at this point in my life, at least for the next 5 years, right, at a minimum, to work for anybody, to make things for people, when they need it. Even if they give me a month to work on something, I just don't have it in me to do it for anybody anymore. I don't see the benefit. I did some original character design on a book because I was like, oh yeah, I'll just draw this character, I'll draw this, I'll do this, and then those characters that I draw end up becoming full characters in their books. I don't see a dime from that. I don't get credit, and I don't feel like a dick for bringing it up all the time. But it's like, I just think at this point in my career, I actually have the talent I always dreamed I'd have. I don't think I'm the greatest artist by any measure, but I have the level of skill that if I met 15-year-old Rob, he'd be damn proud of. And I think that, with the internet, with the way things are now, with commissions and being able to do print on demand, through MagCloud and stuff like that I just don't have to play this game anymore with people. So I'm done. I'm done. And my advice to you is to allow yourself to make some mistakes and to get burned a little bit. But however you're going to work it out, I'm not going to say, oh, don't do this, don't do that, watch out. Experience, lends to credibility. So allow yourself to experience as much as you can, but remember, you don't owe the world art. These people, it's great that they come to you for work. It's a privilege. However, if not you, it will be someone else. They will get along and they will survive without you. Aspen's surviving without Michael Turner. I think we're all replaceable. And I'm the first person to withdraw myself from a situation. I want to only work for you guys now. I only want to work for fans and for customers. I don't want to work for clients. If I want to draw a Spider-Man commission for you, and hook up a whole design series, and then I want to spend my weekends designing a video game magazine, and or on a Thursday night I want to work on my own comic, and that's what I'm going to do. And I know it seems so simple to say that, but I was sort of raised a certain way, and this has to stop. Likewise, the exercises. kicking back in. So, I'll go right back to my training, and in about 6 months I'll be fine. But I just wanted to get it out there because a few of you bought some commissions in June, and it's taken me all summer to not draw them, and just seems that you guys were getting the shit end of the stick when you guys pay first. So that stops. You guys are first, and then my stuff is next. And when I'm done with that, I make more stuff for you guys. I'm just getting way... No one has looked at a Richie Rich cover, or a Penny for Your Soul cover and asked me to make more. They asked me when I'm making my own stuff. Do you have any of your own comics? When I do the Avengers sets, like that was my own. That was the last time. That was the first thing I've done in several years for me, for fun. It was just that whole set. Watercolor that big, all the videos that I'm still rendering. So, and that was my greatest achievement so far, in terms of fame. That got me a lot of. I mean, that really helped. And his last Batman piece I did for Carlito, that got me a lot of attention. And I would like to take it to color. I like to do a little design set and sell little prints, and then I want to make I'm making a video game magazine, guys. I'm making, well, if you call it that. I mean, it's gonna be 24 pages, perfect bound. So it's more like a comic book. But it's got a lot of art in it. It's not just game coverage. It's games, like a webcomic and game fan. If I could take Penny Arcade and game fan mixed together, that's what it is. And I'm doing that, and I'm working on my own comic, and so I just want to let y'all know out there, to sum it all up. There's a friend of mine who's a bit older than me, and he got out of college in the early '90s, and he was telling me that, when he was in college, getting out of Cal Arts and stuff, that everybody that he knew, all the people his age, wanted to go make their own thing. None of them wanted to go work for Disney. I mean, they eventually worked places because they got a living. But none of them wanted to, I'm going to go work for this company, I want to work for this company. Every one of them wanted to make their own thing. And he said that all he hears from people now, from artists, is where they want to work. Oh, I want to work here, I want to work there. I hear it all the time. I want to work at Aspen, I want to work at Image, I want to work at Marvel, I want to work at DC. Guys, I don't want to work for anybody. I didn't get into comics to go work at DC. I got into comics because Mirage Studios was these guys made their own thing called the Ninja Turtles, and I was like, wow, you can make your own thing? And just coincidentally, Image was founded, and I watched these guys become rock stars making their own comics. And I just wanted to get that good. I wanted to get as good as those guys. And I had no idea how to do it. I thought, if I just kept trying, it'd work out. But I don't wake up every day going, man, I hope I get to work at Marvel. I make Marvel t-shirts. I just don't care. I don't relate to modern comics, most of them. Definitely from the big two, other than what Capullo and Scott Snyder are doing over there at DC. I just don't relate to them. I don't want to read a really cheaply printed $4 comic that has 8 pages of ads in it, and it's maybe 16 pages of content. There's just no quality in mainstream comics, and there hasn't been for a long time for me. I get interested in the independent stuff. I love, I think Adam Warren's Empowered is really fun to read. I mean, that's awesome. I told you, there's all sorts of independent stuff I enjoy reading. I think what people are being able to print on Kickstarter is great. They're able to get 500 issues out to direct fans. I mean, that's brilliant. That's the world I want to be a part of, one way or the other. So I really appreciate anybody that has given me the opportunity to participate and work with them so far. Tom, Big Dog Inc., Ape Entertainment. You guys have been really, really good to me, and you put up with a lot. I'm moving on. At least for now, I never say never. But for the meantime, it's time to go make my own stuff. I'm not getting any younger, so... Alright, folks, that's just off the cuff. I'll back to the regularly scheduled Skechcraft next time. Later.